Majesty. This story is a classic, which means that it has been told over and over again in many countries and in many different languages. Like many stories, this one begins with once upon a time. There was a small and quiet kingdom called Pharaohland. King Philip was the ruler of Pharaohland, and he and his wife, Queen Eleanor the Elegant, ruled very wisely indeed. Once upon a time, there were a king and queen who wanted to have a child. The king and queen were well loved by the people in the kingdom, and for the most part, life proceeded happily enough. But King Philip and Queen Eleanor had one great sorrow in their life. They had no children.
Oh dear, if only we could have just one child.
Oof, I know, my dear, I know. The King Loyal Prime Minister was Count Frederick of Fredericksburg. The Count also grieved for the royal couple.
Your Majesty, when Your Majesty are sad, then I am also sad. The people stop singing on the streets. The palace cook burn whole the roast beef. Even the weather is gloomy, and everyone in the whole kingdom catches cold, and the whole kingdom is sick in bed, and the entire economy is ruined.
What are you trying to tell us, Count Frederick?
Your Majesty, you simply must you simply must cheer up for everyone's sake.
Count Frederick, we appreciate what are you saying, but I am afraid that King and I will never be able to cheer up, as you put it, until we have a child.
But they never had one. And so, year after year, the situation continued. However, there were three good fairies who lived in the kingdom. Their names were Rose Petal, Moonbeam, and Twinkle Toes.
Good morning, ma'am.
Ma'am, please unmute.
Start again.
Now, most of the time, the three good fairies spend their days deep in the woods, where they have a great deal, such as collecting dewdrops, polishing sunbeams, and teaching birds to sing. Once in a while, too, they would take day of a dance throughout the kingdom, on they would take day of a dance throughout the kingdom. This particular day, Rose Petal, Moonbeam, and Twinkle Toes happened to pass by the royal garden just when the king and queen in Count Frederick were again discussing about having a child.
Gee, poor king, queen and Count Frederick. Hey, Moonbeam, I wish there was something we could do.
One day the queen was bathing. A frog leaped out of the water onto the land and said to the queen,
Yes, your wish shall be fulfilled. Before a year has gone by, you shall have a daughter. And see what I said came true. And I, Queen, had a little girl who was very pretty.
Isn't she absolutely wonderful? I am so happy with my precious daughter.
Wonderful, she is adorable, and she looks just like me. Cutie goo goo goo. My dear, we simply must have a grand celebration in the honor of our daughter.
The king and queen and Count Frederick spent long hours working on the guest list. It was very important that no one be slighted. Naturally, the three good fairies, Rose Petal, Moonbeam, and Twinkle Toes, were among those to be invited. The king invited not only his family and friends, but also the 13 fairies in his kingdom. The feast was held with splendor, and the fairies presented their magic gifts to the baby. One gave virtue, another beauty, a third riches, and so on with everything in the world that one can wish for. Suddenly, the 13th fairy, Maleficent, came into the palace, really angry.
You fools, you will be punished for not inviting the king's daughter Shall in her 15th birthday. Pluck herself with a springer and fall down dead. Ha 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 ha.
And without saying another word, she turned around and left the room. They were all shocked, but the 12th fairy Moonbeam, whose good wish still remained unspoken, came forward, and since she could not undo the evil spell, but only soften it, she said,
My tune, it shall not be dead, but a deep sleep of 100 years, into which the princess shall fall.
"Listen to me, all of you. I order you to burn every spindle in the whole kingdom. Nothing will happen to my little daughter."
Nishchay.
As years passed by, the gifts of the fairies were completely fulfilled on the young girl. She was so beautiful, modest, good natured, and wise that everyone who saw her loved her. One day, when she was 15 years old, the king and queen were not at home, and the girl was left in the palace alone. She visited every place of the palace, looked into rooms and bedrooms, and at last she came to an old tower.
I have never been into that tower. I will go up and see what's up there.
She climbed up the narrow winding staircase and reached the little door.
I wonder what's inside that room. I will take a look.
A rusty key was in the lock, and when she turned it, the door sprang open, and there in a little room sat an old woman with a spindle busily spinning her flax.
Good day, woman. What are you doing?
Mriganka, unmute. Mriganka, you are not audible, beta.
Oh, come on, little girl. I'm spinning. What sort of thing is that rattles round so merrily? I want to spin too.
Come near, child, don't be afraid.
As soon as she touched the spindle, the magic spell was fulfilled, and she picked her finger with it. She fell down on the bed and went into a deep sleep. That sleep extended down on the bed and went into a deep sleep. Over a whole palace, including the king and the queen. After many years, a prince from another country heard an old man talking about the castle.
Tell me, old man, is it true that a beautiful princess has been asleep for 100 of years in that castle?
It is true, Your Majesty. Nobody can enter the castle. Many kings' sons have died trying to get inside.
But how can that be?
There's a thorny hedge that keeps them from entering.
And do you know the name of the princess?
Her name is Bra Rose. The king and queen and the whole court are also asleep.
I'm not afraid of that thorny edge. I will go and see the beautiful briar rose.
I am warning you not to go. It is dangerous and probably you will not return alive.
You will see, old man. I will come back, and briar rose will come back with me.
When the king's son came near to the throne hedge, it was nothing but large and beautiful flowers which let him pass unhurt. Then they closed again behind him like a hedge.
The old man was right. Everybody is sleeping. Even the horses, pigeons, and the cook and the maid. Who would be so evil to do this?
When the prince entered the great hall, he saw by the throne the king, the queen.
I must keep looking for the princess. Oh, I see a small door over there. Maybe she is there.
He opened the door into the little room where Briar Rose was sleeping.
Oh, she's as beautiful as everybody said. I must kiss her to break the spell.
But as soon as he kissed her on her forehead, Briar Rose opened her eyes and awoke and looked at him quite sweetly.
Oh, what happened to me? I can hardly remember. Who are you?
I'm a prince from far away country. I'm so happy that you woke from a long sleep.
The last thing I remember now is that I was talking to an old woman. Then I hurt my finger with a spindle.
You must forget all of that. Now you are fine and safe. Then the king and queen awoke and the whole court, and they looked at each other in great astonishment, and everybody in the castle woke up, the horses and pigeons, the cook and the maid.
And soon the marriage of the prince and Briar Rose was celebrated with great splendor, and they lived happy to the end of their days.